7, we'll call the meeting to order. And the first item on the agenda is acceptance of minutes.
Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance.
You're right. That was on there too, I thought. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now, second item, acceptance of minutes. You had a chance to read the minutes?
I read them already. I'll
And
make
I
a
have
motion.
read 'em.
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes. What was the date for those minutes?
May 1st?
Make a motion that we accept the minutes of the May 1st meeting of the Dudley Art Commission.
Second.
Then you can second it.
Okay, second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Minutes have
So
been
you-
accepted.
You want to record that as unanimous 3-0?
Mission statement, no, first order is Lisa Berg to discuss tax rates for chapter 61, 61A, and 61B. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
I don't know if you would be close enough to the microphone there.
Ted, do you want her to move or can you pick her up? Okay.
What?
You, okay.
So, what would you like to know?
Well, we appreciate these booklets you got for us. I just got it tonight, so I haven't looked at it.
Okay.
But our main concern was that as land changes on a farm from one area to another area, a concern that was brought up at the last meeting and other times also is why is there a big discrepancy from like vegetables and crops or forests?
You mean how you're taxed per
Right.
acre? That's done through the state.
So the state,
The state values them. They give us a low, medium, and high rate for each classification. We always pick in the middle. We do the
Oh.
medium.
okay.
They're the ones that pick the per acre price. The town has no say in that.
So that's set by the state. I wonder how it is set by the state.
I don't know. I can find out, though.
Yeah, that'd
See if I
be-
can get any information on how they do that.
So if you look at chapter 61 forestry, 61A agriculture, and 61B open space, are these all taxed the same rate, or are they different?
So it depends on your terminology. Everybody's taxed at $13.50 per 1,000, whatever the tax rate is for the year. The per acre price is how we come up. We take the per acre price from the state and multiply that times the acreage to come up with your value as farmland, which is much lower than what it would be if it wasn't in chapter land. So you might have an assessment, if you weren't under one of these chapters, of $100,000. If you're farming it, and we use the state per acre rate, we come up with an assessed value of probably like $3,000. That $3,000 is what you're going to pay taxes on, so it'd be the 3,000 times the tax rate for that year. So right now, we have a set price for per acre price that we, the town, do based on sales. The per acre price on the chapter lands are completely different and dictated from the state. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but what does the state do? The state sends a guy down to look at each one of these properties?
No, so you,
Is it, or is
so,
it, this-
so every year I send out an application to all the farmers, and they just verify that the breakdown that I have on their property, you know, so much is cropland, so much is pasture, so much is hay fields. I have those broken down by what the farmers tell me. Then I key into the computer 5 acres of pasture, and I put in the state's per acre price,
At the medium price.
the medium state per acre price, which is a lot lower than the regular
Are those
non-chap.
prices in here?
They're not, but I can get them for you.
Okay,
Yeah.
that is good.
We have to, it's public, we vote on it, it's right online, we vote on it. The board has to vote on it every year, the Board of Assessors.
So we can just go online and find that?
You could, yeah,
Okay.
if you go to Bureau of Local Assessment,
So if I decide to plow up my hayfield and grow sweet corn to sell,
then that would be vegetable crops, but you would have to tell me
right?
so that I can change it accordingly and
And there's
use.
quite a bit of difference in the valuation.
I don't know the values off the top of my head because
Right.
every year I key them into the tables.
Okay,
So when I put the value in
Yeah.
and I put the acreage in, it pulls it from the table, so I don't know them by heart.
right.
But I can get you the whole list.
Yeah, if you recall, Tim Carroll wasn't sure
Right.
for his acreage that he's about 4.5 acres for Farmer Tim's. But if I could, it's really important that people understand, those who will watch this, the tape of this, that there are 3 chapters in 61. There's 61, which is forestry.
Which you'd need a forest management plan and with the forest.
61A, which is agriculture, and 61B, which is recreational, rail trail, for example. All right? Lisa can provide more information than anybody could possibly use. One of the things that I asked her in the course of our discussions was, how many acres in the town of Dudley in all 3 categories? Next day, email, 4,005 acres.
Good memory.
How much of that is in agriculture? Answer, same email, 3,584 acres. 3,584 of the 4,005 is under 61A agriculture. So whether we know it or not, whether we like it or not, and I would assume we like it, our future is tied to the agricultural history and nature of Dudley. We need to capitalize on that. But she's got data that's just...
The
it
good
goes
news
on and on.
is too, and Mr. Calvin, you might be in it too. Back in the day, the state came in and paid the farmers to be in APR, agricultural preservation restriction.
Yeah.
And we do have a lot of that in town, so for the lifetime of that land, it can never be built upon.
And at one time, Dudley had the most acreage in Mass of any town that has been preserved through the APR program. I don't know if we still have, because
No, that's not true anymore.
What's that?
I said, that's not true anymore.
It's not,
There's a couple of towns in western Mass.
I
Well,
saw,
the state-
actually it was on TV, Chronicle or
Yeah,
something, I saw.
I think
that.
we're down 8th now,
Yeah.
Drew, or something.
But at one time, we did.
I think, I
In other words,
believe we were second for the longest time.
welcome. Have a seat. So, when it first got going in Mass, Dudley was quite active in it. And the nice thing is there's farms that adjoin each other also, you know,
Yep.
that are both preserved. Does anyone have any other questions for Lisa?
I think one of the things that, if possible, I'd like to see Lisa leave with is any questions, evaluations, information, state or town, that you think might be helpful for you, the Agricultural Commission, to meet your mission. And I would urge you, if you can think of things right now, offer them to her. If not, you have to make the time, get those questions to her, and I guarantee you she'll come up with more data than you need.
And we really appreciate what you've already done. for
And
us.
my card's on there, so my email address is on there. Paul, do you want me to email you the rates, the state
Yeah,
rates, and
that'd
then
be
you can
great.
forward them to everybody?
Do you know offhand, just as an example, I don't know if you can answer this now, it's just like, if somebody's out there and he's listening and they're thinking about putting their land in chapter 61A, like if they weren't in a 61, the 61A or B or whatever, compared to what they pay in regular real estate taxes, like, could you like, say like, it would be, if you had $100,000 of assessment and you put it in 61A, like, what would the assessment be?
Probably, it depends on what category you're in, but
Right.
I've seen it as low as 3,000 in value, 5,000, as opposed to 100,000.
So it's considerable. then.
It is, and that would exclude, your barns, your silos, your home. We take out, so you have to have, in the chapters, you have to have 5 acres or more in order to go into any of the chapters. And we exclude, if you have a house on it, we exclude 2 acres just for the house and the land around the house. Everything above that is eligible. And there's many people now that are getting on doing 61B, because 61B is recreational, and as long as you're keeping the land in its natural state, you have 5 acres or more, you get you get a 75% discount on the value.
That's a good question. And I'd like to follow that up, if I could. If someone lives in a residentially zoned area,
Mhm.
and they have a decent amount of acreage, some of which they would like to convert to agriculture, can that be done, and how do they do it?
So if somebody came in to me and said, I have 100 acres, and I want to start, some vegetable crops and some pastures and hay, they'd have to have the 10 acres, so say they have 100. They would come in and they'd fill out an application. One of the things is you do have to make $500 in revenue from the land per year to qualify.
500?
Taxable.
Right.
It's going to be taxable?
Yes. And you have to be farming the property 2 years prior to applying. And we take applications a fiscal year in advance for the fiscal year that you're to receive it. So the ones that we're going to be receiving in September, October, that is for fiscal year 21.
So it's not just a question of putting land into the APR, but converting fallow land into farmland. And we've got a lot of land that can apply to. And that's what we want to do, is we want to encourage people to begin to farm. We want, whether it's organic or natural fed beef or whatever the case might be, but when you're done writing your mission statement, I'm assuming that that's something that you really want to look at and maybe include. The more the merrier. The more farmers, the better off we are.
So would you want to email those figures to Deborah, and then she
Sure.
could pass it on to us, so you wouldn't have to email us
That's
all?
fine.
So you have my card too, right? So just, if you send me an email with the request, I'll get your email that way, and then I can just send it. I could do that first thing tomorrow morning.
Okay.
And also, remember, we can just go online and get a lot of this information.
It's called FVAC, I believe, Farm Valuation something. I can't remember, but it's FVAC values for farmland.
Right, but also how the town handles it all. We can go on the town website and get a lot of information.
The applications are on there.
Okay.
So I'll follow through what Paul was asking. So you file, you get approved by the board if you meet all the qualifications. We have you sign a acknowledgement of rights, and that's simply this is your responsibility under Chapter 61, 61A, and 61B, and there's a separate form for each one. And then we do put a lien on the property, which is the responsibility of the taxpayer to file with the Registry of Deeds. That's only because if you decide you have 100 acres and you decide to take 2 acres out to put a house on there, or sell it to somebody that's not a non-relative, to put a house on there, then you will be responsible for 5 years rollback tax or conveyance tax, whichever is greater. If it's a portion of the 100 acres, it doesn't amount to a lot. So what it would be is, 5 years ago, this was the tax rate. We multiply that by what the full taxes you would have paid. The difference between the discounted price and the full price. In other words, what you didn't pay. And we multiply that by the tax rate. And we do that for 5 years, and each tax rate for each year would
They convert
apply.
back to non-agriculture.
Right,
Okay.
yeah, when it becomes a change of use. Now, with that being said, if you sell the property to a relative to put a house on, that doesn't happen. But the lien is just to guarantee that the town gets their rollback taxes. And then we release the lien
The other
for that
thing,
portion.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Liz.
If you take 2 acres out of 100, we'll have you file a lien release that we'll do stating that of the 100 acres, 2 acres is being released from Chapter 61A.
The other group that we want to be aware of, and I know you know about them, is MDAR, the Massachusetts Department of Agricultural Resources. And John had referred to them in one mailing quite a while back, and I went and researched, which is one of the places that does provide these in Central Mass. But the interesting thing was Farmer Tim had said, we got to do something with this old garage, wood frame garage, which is our only real outbuilding beside the barn on the property. So I went online and did some research, and I found him a grant. No matching dollars are required. Outright grant from the state of Massachusetts, specifically for infrastructure for farms. So with that, and he's already been in touch with them, with that he can contact them about tearing down that old building and putting up a new metal building to serve that purpose and a couple of others right on the old footprint, just make it a little bit longer. So there are resources out there, and since I'm not a farmer, for which you all ought to be grateful, since I'm not a farmer, I'd be glad to help with the research, or do research, You've got something you want to do with the hiking trails, and you need someone else to help out with research on what's available, what's out there. I'll do it, and Lisa knows most of this stuff off the top of her head. What she doesn't know, she can find out.
So does anyone have any other questions?
I just have one other question. You talked about the state setting the rates for all the APR lands.
Mhm.
Does that stay pretty steady, or is that?
It does.
It's
We've
like-
seen an increase a little bit over the last 2 or 3 years, but nothing dramatic. Yeah.
I was just curious.
Any other discussion for Lisa? Thank you very much for coming.
You're welcome. It was my pleasure.
And thank you for obtaining these for us.
You guys give me plenty of time. So you got it. Did everybody get one?
Yep, they're all set.
Actually, can I get one? Okay, I'll just grab one.
Did you want one? You do? Oh, yeah, right.
I'll take one.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So next item on our agenda is mission statement. Last meeting, we were asked to be thinking about a mission statement. I didn't get any sent to me. Did you have any sent to you?
Oh, well, I did some research. I went online, and I went to four towns that have agricultural commissions,
Oh, great.
and I just printed one copy. If you want me, I can read them.
Yeah?
And they're all pretty much basically the same. They were all part of each town would have, the Ag Commission would have their own webpage or website within the town
Okay.
website, so like, and they're not, a lot of them are not all like mission statements, but it's what the Ag Commission in that town, what their purpose is going to be. So like, the Holliston Agricultural Commission is to support, promote, and enhance the long-term viability of Holliston agriculture with the aim of helping this town's agricultural business and become as economically and environmentally sound as possible. By doing so, it is hoped that our farmers will continue to support and maintain the hundreds of acres of valuable open space for the benefit of the town's economy and environment. The commission is working to fulfill this mission through a variety of initiatives and programs. That's what the town of Holliston has put out. If you want me to read another one, I can read
Sure.
another one. All right, the town of Franklin. What is the purpose of the Franklin Ag Commission? To support, promote, and enhance the long-term economic and environmental viability of Franklin agriculture. A lot of these people, they just steal it from from other towns and other websites, which includes Agricultural Commission. Franklin has a rich history of farming, help educate our community, build relationships, and help solve conflicts between farms and neighbors or town boards, and serve as a resource on agricultural matters for all town boards and citizens, preserve farmland within the town. So that's two of them.
Thank you.
I also have a couple more. Let me just read this one, and then this one's kind of long, so. And I can pass them around, and you guys can look at them. This is the one, this is Marshfield's Ag Commission. This commission will serve as a facilitator for encouraging the pursuit of agriculture in Marshfield, promoting agricultural-based economic opportunities for the town, act as mediators, advocates, educators, and are negotiators for the general public in an advisory capacity on farming issues for established town committees and departments, and work for the preservation of both town-owned and privately owned agricultural lands, and pursuing all initiatives appropriate to create a sustainable agricultural community.
That's interesting, in that I didn't hear any of the three play up the overt, open, or a little more sublime underlying financial impact that agriculture can have on a town. If you're willing to let me have those, I will make copies for everybody. All right, I've got plenty of business machines at home, and I'll make copies of all four.
I can check a 5, I'm sorry.
5, I'll make copies of all 5, staple them together, and have them ready for our next meeting.
Thank you for the research.
Okay.
And thank you for
That's
the
good.
offer.
Glad to do it.
I also brought the Land Trust brochure, and it's got a copy of our mission statement on it, so I don't know if that helps. You can probably.
I've seen that. That could be swung over in a good part to
Because,
mission statement.
I don't know, is this, I'm sorry, can I just see that for
Yeah,
a
sure.
second?
I like that too, because
Because I think this is an old one, but I think the newer one we add agriculture to our mission statement also, to help promote agriculture in town.
Well, can you give me a copy of the new one?
Yeah, I can,
And I'll add that, make copies of that, and I'll add that to the
okay,
packet for everybody.
very good. So then we can all,
good
you know,
idea.
you could take a little bit from each one of those, or whatever you want to add or delete. And, but like I said, I picked those all out from like a web page, you know, like a website, so I know that's not good. Eventually, at some point, we're gonna need to do that somehow.
Yeah, and does anyone have an idea how to make this happen?
What, a mission statement?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yes.
yeah. Mission statements, I mean, they're in every business plan and everything too, so
Right, so but my question is, what's the best way to actually make this happen? And not, you will copy those, bring them to the next meeting.
So maybe
What's the next
instead,
step?
how about copying them and turning them into an email so that at the next meeting we actually have
Could you do that?
some, yeah, I could do that.
Do you want to do that?
Do you want me to do that? Sure, if you,
Well, that would give us a chance before the next meeting to go over it.
I love passing on and delegating. I think it's great.
you know, it's interesting too, because these days, I mean, we can take pictures
Anything.
of things with our phones. And, you know, people that get texting, you can send texts that way and everything. I mean, it's amazing what you can do now, but yeah. That would be,
Because I think it would be good if we could get this before the next meeting. And then hopefully have it on the agenda to even vote on a model.
I would imagine that if everybody has it beforehand, and there's an open input opportunity for everybody, whether it's before the next meeting or
After.
culminates at the next meeting, you're gonna come up with the best idea
should I keep that one too?
that this group at that
Should I
time
keep this
can
one
come
too?
up with.
Yeah, you can
And
have,
that might, okay, thank you.
well, actually,
Oh, because you'd rather send the new one, right?
the update.
The new mission statement?
Yeah, I'll see if I can
You can
pull
send
it
it
in.
on the email?
Yeah, I'll try
Okay.
and scan it and send it over.
And
Sure, that'd be great.
if you could send that to the alternates also.
Okay,
Wow.
so, yeah, I could, they must be all on there, so I probably haven't
One of
sent
the-
them in yet.
I stole it from John, one of John's emails had the whole.
Yeah,
Go
and
ahead.
so, that's a good idea,
Everybody.
because, yeah, you can just add it on and put it all on
Because
there.
on one of his
Thank you,
emails, he
Lisa.
has the list.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, one of the things I was thinking too, like, that we could decide tonight, what are some of the key factors that, you know, we can write down right now that we definitely want to show up in our mission statement?
Okay.
Well, I think it would be best if you printed that and send it to everybody, then for the next meeting, we could just highlight what each of us think is the.
Well, a lot of what you have in yours was pretty good because, you know, I mean, well, the reason I'm asking this is because, so that we can start thinking on it now, because I know that education was one of the things that we were talking about, and we all
Yeah.
agree on that, right? That we want to educate our community.
Which brings up that I was going to ask for our next meeting, that we invite John LaPleche, the superintendent of Bay Path, and his director of continuing ed, and as a third person, and have them come in and have a discussion with us about how we can incorporate an agriculture component to
That's
Bay
right.
Path's curriculum. In the
Yeah.
beginning, we can't get a major in it,
Right.
but if we can generate enthusiasm and interest, and the numbers reflect that, that gives them some ammunition to work with the state and try to get a few courses approved. I'd love to have them come back as soon as you said education.
They can't have a major, and why is that?
Because the school doesn't offer it, and it's something that, like, they have to
They-
all
they would
bring
have-
into.
Each town would have to vote and go through all the
Yeah,
things
that's a
to
lot.
add it in.
They did it one time. I was a craft committee member for the agriculture up there.
Really?
Wow.
But one of the things that was presented was that, well, there aren't enough taking it. Well, I believe it's 1% of us, of the population are farmers.
So maybe it will turn
So
around.
you're never going to have the same amount in the ag as you're gonna have in perhaps something else. But,
Unless we market it to these young people now,
right,
because they need to get into farming.
What if we went a little more local to Shepherd Hill High School? Because I was looking at a lot of their numbers today on their grades and stuff like that, and a lot of them are really low. So what if we offered something like that to them?
And one of the things that's interesting that we could parlay with that is that there are so many organizations at Shepherd Hill that are required to do community service. All of the honor societies, all of student government, student council, they all have a requirement for community service, and we it would be nice if we had a plan with the new superintendent to say, we've got some opportunities in the area of agriculture that we certainly believe can qualify. Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome.
As community service. So there's a lot that we can do, but right now it's just out there.
I didn't hear everything you said. Could you come up and sit next to the microphone? And also put your name down, please. But I didn't hear, I don't know if those that are gonna be looking online heard it or not, but I didn't catch it.
Good, okay.
This is my son Noah.
Okay,
He is self-educated.
okay. Now, what did you say about Shepherd? I didn't hear it, I'm sorry.
So I was saying that we could involve Shepherd Hill in this, the students, getting them involved in the agriculture, because they're local, and so it only makes sense.
It's a great idea.
And what I had brought up is that I was actually looking on a website, looking at all of their grades and all of their different spots right now, and they're B and C's, and they're only A+ing in sports. So incorporating something new that they could excel in would be a good idea as far as agriculture goes, considering it's all around here.
Do you know what synergy is?
Synergy would be balance.
Synergy is when the sum of individual energies, the sum of working together, exceeds the amount of individual energies. And what you're doing is you're contributing to the synergy of this group with your ideas that none of us had. So that's called synergy. That's when you make something greater than what if you had done it individually. That's good, and we appreciate that.
Glad you came.
Yeah, he
Thank
doesn't
you.
go to school. That's why I was saying he's self-educated, but he understands the needs for change in the education system. He's an avid researcher, so he's a big help to me in a lot of areas. Smart guy.
Talent is everywhere.
I have a feeling we'll be able to use you some more.
Yeah,
Thank
that
you
would be
for coming.
nice.
I definitely have a few more ideas. One more little prominent in my head right at the moment. If you want to hear, like right now.
Sure.
Yeah, okay. Farmers market, Dudley. I'd see that there's a lot of towns that have them in central Mass, and there is one over in Southbridge, but if we had our own, that would draw a little more attention to Dudley.
That's the next item on the
That's-
agenda.
That's one of the
Alright.
things we
Even
talked
Absolutely
about.
gonna do that.
Yeah.
Hey, that's my idea.
And
Yeah,
and
that's
definitely
one
the
thing.
sale of hemp products through it as well, because I don't know how many actually do that in central Massachusetts already, if at all. I don't know, because I haven't been to all of them.
I'll stick around for this next topic.
Which, is there any further discussion on the model?
On
Okay.
the mission? On the mission statement.
Mission statement.
Well.
I think I'd like to get this back again and read them again and highlight the areas that I think
Okay.
are important, and maybe come up with a couple others.
And
and then we can-
you email that to us?
No, once,
And you'll give it to her?
Oh, after she sends it out.
right, after she sends it
Yep.
out.
Well, that's the idea, so we have time to look at it before the next meeting.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
And just let everybody look at it and just highlight the thoughts, the things that they think is important to the town and to the mission and to what this board needs to achieve, so that we can.
Robert Angel, the poet, said that the nicest thing you can give to your children are roots and wings. And a lot of people have copied that. And if a mission statement can refer to the rich culture that we have and its contribution to a bright future, then the mission statement would be providing roots and wings. That's just one approach. That's not the only approach, but that's one approach.
So let's move on to Dudley Farm Days.
Yeah.
That has been brought up at the last two meetings, and you want to explain what your idea was, is?
I mean, the idea is to have our own identity, but to make it a little different. Just to have it Dudley Farm or Dudley Produce or whatever you want, Days, D-A-Y-Z, not D-A-Y-S. And I know that that's going to be different. And in order to eventually excel above all of the other farmers markets, we need to begin to be different. But I'm going to tell you, once people come, I mean, even just the Land Conservation Trust, you folks know a lot of people who produce. That's a network out there, beyond each of the networks that you all have, all right? So if we can get anyone to show up who produces more consumable goods through agriculture, horticulture, animal husbandry, than their immediate family can consume, those are the people that we want to come to Dudley Farm Days. Now, I had a long conversation yesterday with Tim Cushing, who's a lifelong resident, graduate of Shepherd Hill, the Cushing family. And he is the manager. I think I mentioned this. If I did, just give me a slap to the side of the head and stop me. He is the manager of the new, last year, Oxford Farm. The Oxford Farm is well over 100 acres that was owned by Western Nurseries. And part of their divestiture of lands, because they can get the same product cheaper grown along the mid-Atlantic coast, they've been selling off their land. They used to be the largest landowner in Hopkinton. And this land was bought by a couple who are in the recycling business. And they hired Michael to run it. And at this point in time, he's got over 40 sheep. They're just starting to build up flocks and herds. They've got cattle for the meat, butchering. They're thinking about getting goats and chickens. And Michael's a Dudley resident, so he would qualify as a Dudley resident for being a member of the Dudley Farm Days. But there's a lot of other people that grow and produce things locally. The fromage, the fromagerie is phenomenal. Cheese.
Yeah, they need to be seen.
Yeah, but we'll allow others to come in.
Yeah, yeah.
And I will make sure that we have, when you decide to do it, whether it's once in the summer and once at harvest time in the fall, or as someone suggested in an email tonight, whether we do it monthly, one day a month. I'll make sure that we get it up and set up the way you folks want it, in the parking lot in the back of the town hall. Or if you want a little more vision and it's not that big, use the parking lot right next to the town hall. But let's not set that till you get an idea, and don't charge anybody to set up.
So what are the two parking lots you're talking about?
The big one up in the back of the building,
Yeah.
and the regular one where most people park to come in the main entrance. All depends on what you think you want to do. You know? I'd love to do it.
I'm just gonna tell you, you guys probably all don't know this, but my wife and I were the managers of the farmer's market that we had here for 4 or 5 years ago, I don't know, 10 years, whatever time it was.
Oh, down at Marty's?
And yeah,
I knew that.
and it's not as easy as everybody said, making this
No, it's
sound
not.
out to be. Because, number one, I'm gonna tell you, right from the get-go, Dudley does not have the population to support a farmer's market. And if you think it does, you better rethink it. And the problem is, all farmers that you're trying to recruit to your farmer's market are all committed somewhere else. where they can make a whole lot more money there than they can in Dudley. We've spent hours and hours, and sent out hundreds of letters to farmers to try and recruit them to come to our farmers market. And
Well, maybe
it
we
didn't
should
work.
turn it into a drum circle or something.
It's not easy.
It'll be hard, you're right,
Yeah,
you're absolutely right.
we have the use of the Grange too.
You know, we used it at Marty's because it had the Marty's has got the most visibility.
It does.
You
Go
know,
by constantly.
everybody
Yeah,
says, well,
yeah.
why did they go up to the Grange?
Yeah,
Now,
The Grange would have been
Yeah,
perfect.
no, they don't wanna
You know,
go
we
to the
thought
Grange.
of that idea.
yep,
But on the weekend, you got church, you
yeah.
got weddings on Saturday, church on Sunday. You know, you don't want to bother with bother those people.
well, what do you think about doing it down here, in this, on this property?
Well, if you did it down below,
Yeah,
In the front lawn.
in the front, with good signage, maybe it might work out. But at the time we did it, the first year we did it, we had to do it in the back because that's where the town manager told us we had to go.
okay.
But it's all about getting people to the farmer's market.
Absolutely.
And it's,
Marketing it.
and, well, we got a grant, we advertised, we did the whole 9 yards. We spent a lot of time on it. And,
I came to it when you guys
Yeah.
were set up. Yeah, you came there a lot of times.
and we had a lot of people that came every single week.
Mhm.
But it just got so that it was not sustainable.
It is a lot of work, and so if it's a
And if
lot of
you-
work, you wanna make it, it's gotta pay you back for your time.
Well, it's not to
You
pay
know, too.
us back, it's the
You know.
farmers that go there have to
Right,
get
that's
paid
what I
back.
mean.
They have to make enough to make it
Exactly.
worthwhile for them to go there.
Exactly.
Otherwise, they're not gonna go there.
Yep.
So what is it, what do we know about farmers markets that are successful? What do we know about them that make them successful?
I think, you know who told me that we were not gonna do well, we didn't have the population, it was O'Keefe. What was his first name?
Well,
Who, Billy?
then he put a bad spell on that.
He used to run farmers markets all over in Worcester. He used to run
Yeah,
like
he
5
said
of
it
them in
when-
Worcester. But all of his were in high populated areas.
Right,
You know?
right.
Well, the last thing anybody wants to do is to fail. And the other last thing is anybody wants to do is to tell me I can't do something. But in a small, controlled environment and carefully growing it, let's see. I have no doubt, absolutely no doubt that it'll be more difficult than easy.
And Farmer Tim is sold out on his CSA. That's like a farmer's market in a way. I mean,
That's
so,
right.
so he really is, and did the Kepkes start a CSA? Did I see
The
something like
Kepkes
that?
also have a
So there you
CSA.
go, that's really good,
And
you
it's
know?
sadly that they're open, right?
Huh? And Farmer Tim went from 50, 60,
Mhm.
30 in Dudley and 30 in Belmont this year to just over 100, including over 50 in Dudley and about 50 in Belmont. So maybe we can take a cue from that, but we've got to listen to you too.
Mhm.
We've got to listen
Right.
and learn how you would guide us in not making the same mistakes.
Well, like I said, the thing is to try and recruit farmers, big farmers, they need to make a certain amount of money on that day to make it worthwhile for them to be there. And if they're gonna not make at least $1,000, they're not, they're not even gonna be, they're not gonna bother.
What if we did something like a farmer's market, flea market? And then we let people come and set up their flea market tables, and we have the farmer's market on one side and the flea market on the other. Everybody loves to go to flea markets.
Proper advertising through Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, other forms of social media will
Well, that's
also.
one thing you've got now that we didn't have.
Yeah,
so
and that's you,
It's-
your generation, I don't know.
Well, yeah, everybody's face is in their
We need
phone, so if they get
someone-
I think you're
advertisements
onto
that way.
something. I was just thinking before you said that if we had another attraction,
Something else.
another
Yeah.
reason to bring the family out.
That's why I said the
Absolutely.
drum set, something
You
else.
know,
Yeah.
What if you get like,
Animals,
Well, we got burpees, burpee and records.
Well, almost everybody on has animals also, so.
I know.
So, just,
Yeah, something has to appeal, and it would be nice to try and appeal to the younger generation, obviously, because we want to get them into farming. So I think that if we did do something like this, it would be nice to have even more than, you know, just the farmer's market, obviously. Maybe a flea market, also pushing like the education in this farming, trying to kind of appeal to the younger crowd too somehow.
But the flea market, you might want to get selective on who's bringing what, because
Right.
you're going to get people that are going to come up here with a bunch of
They
junk.
would have to have permissions probably. You know what I mean? Like there'd have to be set rules
Yeah,
of what you can bring and
and what you
can-
bring in, you take
Right.
back with you. Because I've
Exactly.
been to flea markets where they just leave their
Yeah,
stuff
you're
and
not
take
allowed
off.
to leave your things, right? It should be small
can be
enough that we
done.
could manage it though,
Mhm.
because it, you know, it won't be so huge that we can't even manage it, but I bet, yeah.
But we need to caution, we need to follow the caution that we've been given. That's experience talking.
Yeah.
And I think and I would ask that we carry this over one more time on the next agenda and talk about, do we want to do strictly a farmer's food market in the middle of the summer or when produce production is high? Or do we want to wait on the whole thing, crawl before we walk, and just do something a
At
little
harvest
different
time.
in the fall? You know? I don't know. I don't know the answer. I don't claim to know the answer.
Yeah.
But it's food for us to think about, especially in light of what you said.
But you know, the fall's a good idea, like you say too, because in the fall, there's a lot of abundance. And so there's a lot of extra pumpkins and extra apples and extra da-da-da-da-da-da, whatever it is, and so that could definitely,
Or what about hooking it onto the
Appealing.
Shepherd Hill Craft Fair that they have?
oh, when
You know,
is
try to
that?
get the vendors that sign up to go to Shepherd Hill to also look at this farm days.
Oh, yeah.
late in the season.
Yeah, that's.
No, I don't mean to
Oh,
have
she
it
means
then.
to get
I mean
those
to get the vendors
Yeah.
there, because
have
they have to
access
fill
to
out
a lot,
applications way in advance.
Come on.
Uh-huh.
I will speak up on this one. My name is Lynette Lepper. I was born and raised in Dudley. I've lived all over and came back home. It's my husband and my intention to start a market garden within the next couple of years. But in my travels and living elsewhere, the farmers markets that start with crafty stuff tend to fizzle out, because the people you want to market to for farmers markets so that the farmers do well and want to come back, they're not really there for crafts. They want to be there for the fresh food. So I would caution against weighing heavily on the crafts.
Oh no, make it more for the produce, but have something to draw the people that have money, that are going to look at buying fresh fruit, versus somebody that's going there to get a quarter knick-knack for a flea market. You're looking at
What do
a
you
group
suggest
of
that you've
people.
seen in these, you know, 'cause
So
you've
the more
traveled?
successful farmers markets had bunches and bunches and bunches of farmers. And honestly, Dudley does not have bunches and bunches and bunches of vegetable farmers.
Mhm.
There's Farmer Tim that I know of. You know, so I think we need to talk to people who are farming now, see if they could commit to growing vegetables, or making their meat they have to get their meat processed at USDA facilities in order to legally sell it. And it's not easy as well to sell vegetables. I've looked into the process, and when we start selling vegetables for profit, I need to get a whole new homeowner's insurance policy, because my company right now will not cover me for food sales.
Where you have to have a rider for that.
So, it's not to do things by the book. It's not just as easy as, hey, you got extra pumpkins growing in your garden, come on down.
Right.
And all of the farmers markets have insurance requirements of their people, and some of them some of them go out and do the work and say, if you don't have this right insurance, then, pay us this money and you can be on our policy. It's a lot of paperwork and a lot of steps.
We've got research to do.
Did you do the state voucher program
Yeah, we did
that they
that.
ran in the summer? Okay. Curious about that too.
We have had people get back to us
Yeah.
about bringing honey from town. And from just over the border, we've had someone say they would come with plants
Yep.
and what else they have. And also, the name's not coming to me, the name of the farm at the bottom of the hill, Nichols. That
Oh,
you-
the new one, the hemp farmer,
Uh,
or someone else?
In the old Durkee farm, is that what you're talking?
they make, she makes baskets.
That's right.
Wow.
So there is some potential out there.
Oh,
Would
yeah.
it be like for every month? Maybe not. But, on
Maybe
a-
like one big one,
in the
like in
fall.
September.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be better for honey anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Not maple syrup.
Yeah, it's either that or.
They still
or,
sell it.
Once a month or one time in the fall, like you say, or, I don't know.
So you wouldn't be able to come as you are right now.
I could sell plants legally.
Okay,
I can't sell food products.
okay.
And the other thing that would be nice to address is, I would love to sell my jams and jellies, but that's a whole nother ball game with getting inspections, et cetera, et cetera. So I think as
You have to get a certified
Yeah.
kitchen.
as a,
We went through all that stuff.
Yeah.
We did all
Yeah,
that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, because I like to buy those jams and jellies, like when I go to
You went
the
through
fair.
this, dealing with the issue of foods and jams and jellies, and what did you find? As you did
Like,
this
as far as
research?
laws here.
Well, you just have to get you have to get a permit from the Board of Health stating that your
Locally?
kitchen is certified. It's a certified kitchen.
Locally?
Yes, from the
Okay.
yeah.
health department.
But you can only sell, I couldn't, if I got my kitchen home certified, then I could not sell within the line in Thompson, because you can't
Well, you
cross
can
state
sell
lines.
here.
I can only sell to
We don't care
end
about that.
users.
We care about it. You know what, this is
Which
good.
you could advertise, you can only find this at Dudley's Farm Days.
Yeah, but then there's an exception to all that too, is like baked goods. You could do baked goods without a permit because it comes under like the church bake sale kind of thing.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if that's changed since we've done it, but that's the way it used to be.
Because back
I
when
think-
we were making pies at Pleasant View Farm on Ramshorn, you had to be certified, your
Yeah.
kitchen.
And you can't make like buttercream frosting because that needs refrigeration. There's regulations.
But you can have refrigeration, because a lot of people sell meat now at farmers markets, which I'd be looking forward to trying to do here. But you have a cooler, a freezer in my case, and gotta have a thermometer in it, and you have a portable generator, But
But
that's,
as a cottage kitchen, you're not allowed to do that.
okay, as a,
Cottage, they call it the cottage, or every state calls it a different.
It's clear
thing.
we need to do some more research.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to ask that this topic be continued to the next meeting. And we've all got a little research to do, some of us more than others.
okay, I don't think
I'll,
that,
I'll ask my wife to come too, because she did a tremendous amount of work on trying to get the market going, and maybe she has some better insights than what I.
I'd love to hear from her.
Like I
would-
said, she spent, I don't know, sent out hundreds of letters and countless hours calling people and trying to get people to come, but it was
who is this?
my wife.
Oh, okay, so we would look forward to having her here.
Well, if she'll come, I don't know, it's up to her.
And if you have any other ideas in the meantime, before next meeting, email me or Deborah so that we can get as many ideas as we can for the next meeting. Because at some point, we I know it's not time to discuss that, but our July meeting's on the 4th, so we're not having one in July, correct?
Well, I'd rather we move it back a week.
And we'd have to get that approved.
Yeah, rather, no, just.
But what I'm saying
So
is,
do you mean
come
To the
August,
end of June instead? Is that what you're saying, or are you
Either
saying
the
to the
end of
second?
June or preferably a later week, Thursday in July.
All right, because I'll be gone in July. After that first week, I'll be gone till the end. So, but,
well, we
No.
can talk about that
Yeah.
at that time. But my idea was, come August, we need to have a date if we're gonna do it.
You do, preferably
So
earlier.
as much information as you can get to me or Deborah before our next meeting, and we'll discuss the meeting at the end here and see what we do on a date. So any other discussion on Dudley Farm Days? Strawberry Festival update. I don't have an update.
well, I've been naughty and haven't gone to the meetings, but I'm sure that everything is going according to plan except for, well, I've tried to reach them, different people, and said, how big do you need this refrigerator truck to be?
Did they find one yet?
Not that I know of, and no one has responded to me, so I'm not really sure on the size. But I was doing research trying to find one.
But they do need a refrigeration
As
truck
far as I know,
or,
they still need a
trailer
truck
or
or
something.
something, yeah, mhm.
so if anyone has any ideas,
I think what they're afraid
can
of
you
is-
rent them?
is- Well, last year we did, and it took all of the profit, and then it took them. Yeah, see, that's the problem. It has to make some kind of a profit. It's such hard work. We have to get the Dudley Grange to not
That's why they do
lose.
it.
I know. It's supposed to benefit.
Have they looked into a CoolBot?
What is that?
It's an attachment to an air conditioning unit that makes the temperature go lower, but a lot of market farmers will put storage units in their basements or shed or whatever and attach the CoolBot to it for cold storage.
Well,
And that would be a cheaper option.
that sounds like a really good alternative. What is it that you build, like it goes into some type of a cooler box?
You
like-
mount an air conditioner and then you attach the CoolBot to it.
Don't
So-
know if it'd get cool enough for whipped cream though. Technically, I don't know if you'd get down low enough. For
It
vegetable.
gets down to 40 and yeah, like it's,
And so it goes in like, I mean, all of the stuff has to be stored in a room
mhm.
that would have to be built specifically for it, like a cooler box.
Or you can, I don't know why you wouldn't be able to, like, if they had a truck already, like, no.
We have our old cooler box that it died, it's done. Now, we've said, hey, why can't we just put a new, unit on it? And see, that's the thing, we're not sure if all the information's accurate, and we were told, no, that can't be done. I don't know if that's true or not, because I didn't personally deal with whoever came and said that couldn't be done and what they really
Well,
said.
I thought I heard one
So-
time too, it was quite expensive to replace that.
Yeah, but I wonder if it's a lot cheaper than, because if you can get a unit, I've seen them. I've been researching this for a while, so that's the problem that we're having right now.
I have-
And the communication in our.
I have had to replace a lot of compressors in my day, being a dairy farmer for 50 years, and they're very expensive.
Mhm. But you can get them used, and I mean, when you say very expensive, is it still better to buy an entire cooler truck? That's what we have right now, is like a cooler box out in the back, and the
Yeah.
unit broke. So is it cheaper for us to buy the whole unit? I mean, I don't know. That's what
I'm
someone
sure
said.
it is, if you can still use that box, sure.
Oh, so you mean to buy the unit and keep the box? Because
Yeah.
everybody there, or not everybody, but somebody said, oh, no, they said no. I
How
agree with you,
expensive can one of
though,
those
that it'd
boxes
be better to
be?
get the unit rather than a whole lot
But
of
even those are
box.
very expensive.
I know, but still, it'd be a lot cheaper than the whole. Anyway, so that's the problem that
So
we're
I
having.
guess we
We're still
don't have
there.
any other information on the.
No, but everything's going according to plan.
Oh,
With
okay.
the Strawberry Festival. We
Did
just.
they get any
we
help?
still
Because it
have
was
to-
online, but that didn't work.
I don't think they got any help for the refrigeration aspect of it, But
Oh, I meant
getting
doing
our
the
people there to
hulling
do
and
the
everything.
hulling and stuff, yeah, they should come on Wednesday, then everything has to be in the cooler until, Thursday, and they do all the whipping on Thursday morning. So, Thursday morning.
I'll be there to do my part and consume as much strawberry shortcake as I can.
Okay, there you go. So, yeah, if anybody is gonna be able to come to do the hulling of the strawberries, I believe they start at like
I used
8
to love
AM on
working that.
Wednesday. So,
Oh,
and that's that.
anything else on the Strawberry Festival? Open discussion, something that we haven't talked about that you would like to talk about tonight?
One of the things is I sent you an email about
Okay.
is how you're trying to promote all these, the community farmers on your land. I worked for an insurance company for 30 years, and people will sue for the littlest thing. Is there any coverage that you know of that would provide for it for the people that are coming onto your land to set up their own plot, their own garden, in the event that they get sick off of something that they grew on your land? Because you're the ultimate landowner. And
Maybe there's a clause that can go into any
There's-
contracts that you have with people that,
Yeah, that comes all under
Okay.
leasing arrangements and
Yeah.
lease agreements that you have with farmers.
yeah.
That's a,
yeah,
that's like
But
10,
you-
that's
it's
like
not-
10 meetings.
legalities.
Yeah, but it's not like you can just go out and say, hey, you want to plant some vegetables on my land.
No, no, no.
Yeah, no,
It all comes
obviously you
down
can't
to-
do that because they could become squatters, I mean.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you can't do
Exactly. You
that,
don't want
right.
people squatting or leaving their stuff and just taking off.
Right.
And you're left with the mess
Right.
afterwards.
Right, right.
At
Yeah.
some point, a lot of these farmers in town with APR property are gonna have to do something with their property as they get older. They need to either sell it or lease it to someone else. And then if you're gonna lease it to someone else, there's all kinds of lease agreements and stuff like that you're gonna have to work out.
When it comes down to that part, yeah.
Right.
But, I mean, the way that we were talking about previous meetings is just having people coming and renting your land and putting in your own little plot and growing your own vegetables on your land and stuff like that.
That's the
There's a
owner-
lot
that's
of
the owner's-
liability that goes with it.
Oh, absolutely, but that's the owner's, the owner needs to take care
I
of
mean,
that.
we always had a liability policy just for
Mm-hmm.
people walking on our land.
Oh, yeah, I do
Never mind
too.
going into the store and buying something, but it's a liability policy that we always carry.
Yeah. I have one on mine too.
Right.
If anybody walks on
So
it,
why
you would
wouldn't
have
that
that.
cover if you had a plot of vegetables?
See, there's a lot of little loopholes when you get into stuff like that too. It might cover, okay, if you're on the property, but if you get sick eating the produce that you raised on the property, can they come back to you, and
Well, like he mentioned, that would be
It's-
in a signed agreement,
yeah,
No
but it's not like
responsibility.
real easy, cut and dry, okay, just approach somebody. It's not that easy.
I mean, one of the good things about the law is, it tends to be rational, if not complicated. And any clearly spelled out agreement, whether you let them use the land or whether you lease them the land for whatever purpose, community garden, call it what you want. There is language that you can use that, and the courts will always say, what would a reasonable person assume from the language in your agreement? And that language covers the eventualities that you think you might encounter, then the liability likelihood, and you show that to an insurance company, the likelihood is that you will not end up costing them a great deal of money. But it doesn't have to be long and convoluted to be effective. I've written up, I write up contracts every day when I'm gonna go into someone's home and clean it out, which includes personal, family, property that they have roots with. I mean, I have liability, I have large liability insurance. But my language, I've had many lawyers look at it and say to their clients, who would try to become my client, that there's nothing to change, it's all in the King's English. So, my guess is you don't have to be overly circumspect or overly concerned if you put the basic elements of the agreement in writing. So a reasonable person would assume it. You always want to, the last question you want to ask someone before they sign it is, do you understand this? And then, do you have any questions? And you always have a witness there. If you do those things, they've concurred. All right?
I think too, when we get into contracts with people, if we're good at it, you can tell, your gut sense tells you a lot of times who to get into contracts with and who not
Oh,
to,
sure.
you know?
Oh,
So
sure.
if you don't feel right about somebody, obviously you're gonna say, I'm not gonna
But there
do a
has to be
contract with
some
them."
sort of
There still
agreement
does,
done.
of course. Obviously,
Because, I mean, you're just gonna get anybody coming up and saying, okay, I want to plant, a couple cucumber plants and a couple tomato plants
Yeah,
on
I'm
your
gonna build my
land.
little
Okay, yeah,
house over
sure,
there, bring
you
my
know.
tent or something, yeah.
That's
No.
my point,
Yeah,
that
no,
you're not gonna
you're
be
right.
able to just say that
Protect
to somebody
yourself.
that just approaches you. There's gotta be a legal aspect to it.
Yeah.
One of the things we haven't talked about, I don't know if you folks research this, is bartering. Bartering is a lost art,
But you have to pay taxes on it.
right? Edward Rose Snow wrote for the Bicentennial Commission that one of the lost freedoms that we don't have, that our forefathers had, was the ability to barter. And there were some pretty substantial contracts and exchanges that are made by bartering. But I only bring it up because we haven't brought it up yet. And I'm
Oh,
wondering if
bartering's
some of
great.
that might fit into something. Yeah, I understand the law.
I was involved in a group in Virginia that a lot of bartering went on, and it was fantastic.
We may tap your mind on that one.
I'm into bartering, for sure.
I never got paid what the cattle dealer, what I asked the cattle dealer for the cow. I never got paid that much, you went.
Yeah, there was a barter in there, right?
You have another item, you said you sent me two.
Yeah, the other thing is, I was just fiddling around before we came to the meeting with, like the logo.
Good.
Just something. I did up a couple,
Oh, great.
just quickly. Now, the pictures on
I
there,
will pass it directly over.
they're off the website and from my house. So, I mean, there's no liability around that. And the other one, like at the top there, I just took that off of like free graphics, but I could always draw something that looks, that's just a
Oh,
PowerPoint
That's cute.
Nice.
cover.
It is nice.
So just a couple ideas.
I love this group.
My son had a great idea. He thought that like maybe bringing into the logo, around the logo, a hemp rope.
Could
you
do
know,
that.
for the,
Well, we can put that around the picture.
Yeah, I was just fiddling before we
Yeah,
came to the
yeah,
meeting.
it's neat. We
One
were
thing
talking
I think,
about
one thing I
that.
think, what should be a priority for this commission is that, when I looked at the websites for these mission statements, almost every single one of them had a picture of their sign in all entrances into the town saying that they were a right to farm community. Dudley needs to do that with something. Because if that sign brings in one person to farm in this town, then it's worth all the money you paid for it.
They say farm friendly, is that the word
No,
you use?
No.
Right to farm.
You'll say
Right
like
to farm.
Dudley is a right to farm community.
We are that.
Right,
Right,
exactly.
but signs.
But we don't have
Yeah.
our signs.
Right. They should be on all the entrances into town.
Yeah, we're like the second largest one in
Can't
the
that-
Massachusetts. Amherst is the largest one. It's the, we're a farm protected community too. There's something about, we have a special protection here, and we're the second largest one in the Massachusetts.
In acreage?
And
No,
Amherst
that's,
is the
she's talking
biggest
about
one.
APR. That's changed.
Oh, it
Okay.
has?
We're down to like 8 or something now.
So
Oh,
that,
okay.
that should actually
I
be
thought we were
worked
protected.
into our mission statement somewhere, the right to farm. In other
I
words,
love
that's
the
what we,
ideas. There's
that's what we
so
wanna,
much meat.
that's what we want to provide, that
But we're
right.
already doing that. You know what I mean? Dudley's already a right to farm town.
Correct, and we want.
Yeah, but they don't, nobody's gonna know that.
Gotta
Until at
advertise
least
it.
we have a
Yeah.
website
Yep.
or
Right.
we have a sign somewhere to tell people
No,
that.
you're right.
Most of the time I get, Dudley, where's that?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, I love this group. There's so much that we're gonna put our teeth into and
Thank you for
hopefully
that, I
come up
really
with
like
something.
It'd be nice to get a sign where, you know how when you enter a town and you see they have the Lions Club or the Masons, we could do the right to farm community type sign there. That
Well,
that's what we are, yeah.
Dudley definitely is a little hard to find, especially through the internet. If you look on Google Earth or you look on maps and you try and zoom in, you're gonna see Webster and Southbridge, big, bold. You have to zoom in a little more until the name Dudley pops up. You don't even know what exists between the two of them until you zoom in further.
Well, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Do you know what he's saying? That you have to zoom in before you town?
No, I want him
Shows
to
up.
talk and open his mouth more when he talks.
Sorry about
Hey,
that. All right.
you know why?
Because
Yeah, because these guys
trouble
have,
hearing.
yeah.
Yes, I do
Yeah.
apologize about that. Google Earth and Google Maps. Everybody uses them for GPS and stuff now.
Right.
So,
And you can
Dudley?
zoom in.
Yep.
yes, when you look right in this area, you can see Southbridge in bold, white, bold,
louder.
and then Webster in bold and white. Dudley is not there until you zoom in further.
Could it be
You
because
won't
of the
see it
population?
between
That's what I was
Southbridge
thinking.
and Webster.
You can Google Pleasant View Farm and zoom in at Airport Road.
Yeah, you figured that out.
See that?
And
But
you-
see, but he's
But that's
right.
another issue.
So it's small.
That's another issue.
Dudley doesn't show up until you really come in further.
Yeah, you have to be looking for it, essentially,
Right.
for it to pop up.
That's interesting.
We'll get there, folks.
We will.
I have faith in all of you.
Any other open discussion?
I want to
would
get
like
out
to
of here
bring
and go
up,
watch the Bruins.
I'd like to bring up one thing really quickly,
What?
so that you all know that, hold on, let me get here. Okay, so on July 20th, at 9:30 a.m., they are going to, be taking registrations for it's the Dudley Women's Club, and they're having a garden,
Well, the garden
they're
tour.
having the garden tours. So.
Have you ever seen this house?
No,
yard?
and you know what, really, unfortunately, I'm gonna be in Brazil. I haven't even told her yet, but Bruce is gonna take this over, Bruce and Noah are gonna take it all on for me, because I was supposed to be there to open the Grange for them and make sure that everything ran efficiently. So now it'll be Bruce and Noah doing that, but I just wanted everybody to know, I really wanted to go, because I wanted to do the garden tours myself. But so that is going on July 20th, and if anybody wants to go to those garden tours, I believe it was like $25 online and maybe $30 the day of or something like that.
When I had two legs, I could go. Now that
Yeah.
I've got one leg, I gotta get the addresses and drive by them.
You gotta drive
And I
by.
still go, ooh and ah. You know, even then.
One other thing, if it's on TV, on June 15th at Pierpont Meadows, Massachusetts Audubon is going to be having a family day over there.
Oh,
There's a guy that comes with all his animals and he talks about animals, and I'm not sure what else they'd be doing, but from 12 to 4 on June 15th down at Pierpont Meadows.
Next,
Oh, I'd like to
A
bring
week
my
from Saturday.
granddaughter.
a week from this Saturday.
Yeah.
oh, great.
So,
Airport Meadows.
Love to bring my granddaughter to that.
yeah, they were, actually was, Land Trust is gonna have a booth there, and I'm not sure what other things they're gonna have, but last year was pretty good, actually, it was a lot of fun.
Nice.
So this year, hopefully, it's a little bit better.
And then following that, we'll be getting right into that strawberry festival.
That's it.
Any other open discussion from the board or the public? Okay, so we need to pick a date for our next meeting. Which,
Yeah.
how do we do that without knowing,
Well,
just,
you either gotta go the week before or the week after.
okay.
And I know you're not gonna be here
So the week
the
before.
week
No,
after.
I won't be here from the 9th until the 26th of July.
Of July.
Or say
So you
27th.
folks decide, when do you wanna meet?
How's your haying schedule? Think you'll be done by then?
Oh, I'm paying now, but I'm here, so not an issue with me.
What do you
Yeah.
folks think?
What about the last Thursday in June? Is that too soon?
The last Thursday in June would be the 27th.
The last Thursday in June's available because, you know, for me, because the Strawberry Festival is actually the one before. I think that'd be all right.
I'm good, whatever you guys want is fine.
What about the meeting room?
We'll work
Yeah,
on it.
That's right, the meeting room, yeah.
Thursday, the 27th?
Yep.
Okay.
So we'll tentatively schedule our next meeting for June the 27th, a Thursday, the last Thursday of the month.
And is the time good for everybody, 7 o'clock?
It is for me. I can't come with Julia.
Okay. All right.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
A second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, you guys. That was fun.